Hi, this is Ginger Cook, and if you're watching this today, then because it's not a live show, it's been pre-recorded, then I have filmed this in my second studio, and it's just me and you guys. That's just going to be us. We're not doing a live show. John and I are either traveling, and sometimes we make videos ahead in case someone isn't feeling well, and we don't feel well enough to do a live show. So basically, what I wanted to share with you today was how to use a palette knife to create these rocky cliffs. Now, before you panic and think this is too scary of a painting to try, it's a very, very simple design. This is the Mediterranean. I think it's really neat. This is like an old monastery. Now, I did a couple things. At the end, I didn't do this. I added some steps here because I got to looking at the photograph. And when I blew it up, I could see there were some steps going back into whatever happens behind these trees. I thought that was kind of important, and I kind of lightened this little area up in front of these rocks here. One thing you want to know is that when we're doing something like this is the palette knife I use, nothing very small. Now, if you were doing this larger, I would want you to do a larger palette knife, okay? Now, we've got some very, very simple water paintings on YouTube. Here's, for instance, here's one. It's just a very beginner, basic palm trees and water. Now, when you look at this, of course, this is a little bit more advanced, but not that much more difficult. But we are going to be using ultramarine blue, phthalo blue, and I've got a color called Southern Ocean Blue from Matisse. If you don't have that, what you want is a turquoise, a bright turquoise, which you can make with phthalo green, phthalo blue, and white, and sometimes a bit of yellow. You'll make this pretty emerald green color. So some brands have something called phthalo turquoise, and basically we want a combination of these kind of blue-green waters and more of these cool toned waters. All right, and then we're talking about just using yellow oxide and yellow and cad red medium, a little purple. And white really is pretty much how we're able to create this whole scene. And I think you're going to be surprised that just the rocks are done with the palette knife. The rest of this is done with the brush. And I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to take you through it step by step. If you're kind of like this kind of thing, like for instance, these rocks were done just with the brush. And this is another scene that we have. This is another video that we have on YouTube on doing rocks. Again, much more simple painting. We kind of I saw this, I felt like painting it. I needed something for YouTube, so I thought, well, it's really pretty easy to do. I'm going to let me just show you something real quick. We'll get out. Let's get out a little canvas, and I'm going to just show you a couple things before you start to panic on me, okay? Because you're going, oh, I don't know, Ginger, I'm panicking. That's okay. Here's just an old piece of canvas. And I'm going to just do that for a minute and show you some tricks. So then you're going to feel very comfortable about this, all right? So that when we're doing rocks, you don't want thin paint. And you don't want paint on a stay wet palette because it's going to be so flat it won't work for you, all right? So you want heavy body acrylics. And you'll see when I'm mixing some colors here like this, a little purple in there, and I show you how to mix these. I put it just on one side of the palette knife like this. And if I'm going to say that here's a rock, this is just a little thing here. I'm going to say here's a rock right here, all right? Then I'm going to put this on, not that dissimilar to how you might have done, put peanut butter on toast or something. Just kind of put it on like that. And then because it's very stiff, it's bumpy. If I put something on top of it and barely touch it, now I can get all kinds of stuff that happens in here like that. Now then what I would do is let that dry before I tried to do anything else. And so what I would suggest is take a small canvas, practice with the palette knife. I've got another really awesome video on how to use a palette knife on YouTube. It's got thousands of views. And think about how you might just practice with the palette knife first, because this is a very basic painting right here. I know you're saying it isn't looking too basic, but it really, there's nothing too complicated about it. It's just that it's got a lot of color and texture, which I'm going to walk you step by step through that, okay? And try it. See if you don't find this extremely helpful to do. We started off with a canvas that was just dark blue. That's dry, 8 by 10 canvas. I just wanted you to see that. And take a minute and just see what you can do on something small. Like for instance here, float some white on top of that. Here you go. Look at how I'm floating some color. Well, this is just great if you're doing rocks and stuff. This is the best. Palette knives are the best for rocks. So again, we're going to show you how to do that, how to step by step. And I think this is charming, really, really pretty. I hope you like it. This would be a good time to share it, to subscribe to our channel. Check out our other Wave and Water Masterclass videos on our website. If you're into painting water and you want to learn more, we teach 1,000 different ways to teach water, so that, you know, there's a lot of different ways to paint it. This is just one way. Okay, so to start off the picture, what I need to do is figure out where my cliffs are going to be and where my first water is going to be, and I think where I want the house, the little, little house thing. So I think I want probably going to say I want my house about here, just for now. Let's see, and here's my little bank here like this, and I'm going to come along here like this and say here's our cliffs coming up like that, and then this is going to be kind of our front water in here like this, okay? And then the back water is going to come this way, come past here, and I'm going to have some cliffs going up here, and it's going to come kind of in jagged cliffs around like that. So this is going to be, these cliffs back here, and there'll be these cliffs, and there'll be some kind of little buildings along here, like that, and maybe a wall, like that. Okay, so I'm going to say that's the plan with this, and let's see if I have this. Okay, here's my cliffs coming up. I don't want them coming up that high. Okay, so that's basically. Let's see. I don't like the way I did this, so let me change that. I've got it. It's going to look at me like this, okay, and then it's going to come back this way, like this, and then kind of hide down. So it's kind of at a funny angle. Okay. That's kind of weird though too, isn't it? Let's bring this up like that. Okay, we'll keep it simple. Let me just keep it simple. All right. So now, because this is mainly about the cliff is nice. I just didn't want it smack dab in the middle, because I'm going to have a rock behind it. Some cool rocky cliff things that are going to all come up in here like that. So this is how I lay out something. People always say, how do you ever lay out a painting? And I've painted this before. You're watching me paint this for the first time, and I'm going to do it in sections, alright? And so, first thing I'm going to probably put out is some burnt umber. And I want that pretty dark. What is this sitting up on here? Oh, a pen of some kind. Okay, a little burnt umber. I'm not going to put any labels out. I'm just going to tell you what they are. Kind of ran out of labels this week, and John hasn't been feeling well, so we haven't printed anymore. Okay, so now let's see. I need a little bit of white paint here. Alright, just a nice little glob of white paint. I can say that will work. And let's see what else. I've got brown and white. And I'm going to I think I want some sort of really pretty. This is Southern Ocean Blue. That's by Matisse. You could also use some phthalo turquoise or ultramarine. Phthalo blue and phthalo green and white would also work. Here's ultramarine blue. Okay. And then let's see what else. Probably some cad red medium. We're going to stick that out. We pretty much use that in every picture. You pretty much see cad red medium. It's kind of a given, isn't it? At this point, I would think you'd expect it if you don't. Here's some yellow, cad yellow medium. And okay, yeah, let's just do that like that. Clean that off. It's kind of tricky. You got to get the caps, kind of line those caps back up. Now let's see. What's this? That's mixing white. That's phthalo green. I don't think we need that. This is phthalo blue. We'll put a little of that out too. Right, like that. I'm going to do some blues and browns and greens in here for sure. And magenta makes such a nice orange with yellow. We're going to add that. Let's see, where's our regular magenta? So this is sort of fun, and you can sit there and say, this is a little, 8 by 10 canvas. It's kind of, I think I think this is going to be a good one to do when I want to do one. We'll just see how this works out. You already know, though, this is so funny, because I will show you, do an entry when I'm done, and so you're going to kind of know already what I've done before I've done it, which is kind of fun. You ever cleaned one palette knife with another? Now this is kind of, I didn't clean this the last time, so what I'm going to do is just soak that in water, because that's some dried on paint and I don't like it. Alright, now what? Well, let's just start with some water here. Here's a little bit of, I'm going to just mist these paints, because the lights here are very hot I'm filming with. And how about a little bit of the ultramarine blue and a little bit of white, tiny bit of the phthalo, kind of a combination of this, and a little bit of magenta. I'm going to tone that down a bit. A little bit more blue, that's a little light. I'm just going to come across here like this and say that this is where my water is going to be. And I want the strokes to go horizontal. Eventually, you can come down like this, but then eventually you should smooth them out, okay? So we're going to say that this is our, a little bit more blue in that. Come all the way off the edge with this too. Hope you're doing that. Come all the way off the edge. Now let's add a little bit of tonality to it. Here's just some ultramarine. We're going to make it darker in some parts. I'm going to even take some of that Southern Ocean blue with that. Give it sort of a blue-green color. Like that. In here like this. That's pretty. A little bit Southern Ocean blue and that. Yeah, let's just do, kind of darken this up in a couple places. Okay. There we go, where it's coming in from the cliffs. Alright, so then I want a little bit of ultramarine blue, and let's see, do I have red? This is just red. I think that's what this is. No, it isn't. I guess I thought I had magenta up, but I didn't grab it. So where did that go? It's design. Apple scarlet. Wow, it's so funny. Ah, here it is. I knew that I was missing magenta. This is two different reds and a... No. Here you go. There's some magenta. Okay. So I want a little magenta with my blue now. And come up in here like this. A little bit of the lighter color. And I'm going to come in here. This water up in here, I'm going to turn a little bit darker. And here's some, a little bit darker in the green colors. And now let's get some white and put it in here like this. And let's just say this part here is lighter. Like that. Get in the habit of going all the way across. Don't do little brush strokes. All the way across. A little bit of the phthalo green. I want this side. And if you're gonna stop, if you go out from the edge, then lift up. Out from the edge and lift up. Like that. And if you're going to do something dark, come the other way and lift up. Just lift up in the air when you're doing that, and then you won't get any marks. So I'm saying that's the kind of, want it kind of dark next to our cliffs, and I want a little bit darker back over here too, where these cliffs are. I'm going to darken that up, okay? So this is we're not getting too crazy with the water. Just put a little bit of this Southern Ocean blue, and just do this. There we go. Nothing like layering. Just layer those colors. Alright, now let's see, what do we got? Alright, that's going to work. Now, if I'm going to do anything else, all I've got right now is sort of massive bits of blue. So let's take some burnt umber, and I think ultramarine blue, those two colors. We've got pretty dark, our cliffs are pretty dark as it is, but we're going to go ahead and do this, tap them in again. That's pretty dark. That I'm going to leave alone, but these back ones I'm going to tap in again here. I want to come down a bit. This is too straight a line right here, so I'm going to come down like this. Say this cliff comes down a little bit more. Maybe I need to just bring this back up like that. There, let's do that. So that it comes around, okay? So now we've got this sort of I think it's going to be an interesting painting. I don't know. I've got, I think it'll be kind of cool when it's done. Just there. So, alright, and I'm going to just kind of lighten this up in front of here like this, holding the brush very flat with a little white paint, going back and forth like this, and then lifting up on both sides. Alright, saying that's a little bit lighter there. Okay, so now what can I do? Well, that brush I'm going to put away. I'm not going to work with that one anymore. Here's a here's some white. And what happened to the yellow oxide? You're going, I don't know, you're just sitting there. I have no idea what you did with your yellow oxide. Well, I know. But here, I do. I'm going to put it right there. And then, what else do I want? Well, purple. For sure purple. Purple, grayish, yellow. If you're going to do anything with yellow in it, purple, grayish, yellow. So here we go. Purple, grayish, yellow. So here's some yellow, a little bit of purple, a little bit of white. Okay. And I'm going to start pulling brush strokes down like this, kind of at angles like this. This one's going to kind of change the angle like this. I'm going to start putting in my cliff. And to do that, we've got to get some texture. Okay, a little bit more of the gray coming down here like this. Now, notice all the colors that are on my brush. You know, I don't mix the colors that well, okay? So right now I'm just sort of saying this is what's back here, like that. And as long as I'm doing that, I'm going to say this is what's in front here. And say here's our beach area here, our cliffs. It's that they're really, these guys don't really get a beach. They just get some sort of cliff things here that are going back like this with rocks. Alright, so we're doing that. Just gradually building up our cliffs. And so we're saying this cliff's coming up here like that. I need a little bit of yellow and magenta. Take a little orange color. Put a little yellow oxide with it, mix it there. I'm going to come up here like this and say, okay, I've got some sort of cliff doing this. Put a little of this color right here. I'll just worry about the building later. I'm just going to get my rocks in. So then I'm going to say that up here like this, let's take a little bit of yellow oxide, a little tiny bit of purple, white. I'm going to say up here like this is some of my lighter part of my cliffs, coming up in this area. And then coming down like this. And this area all in here is going to be greenery, so I don't care about it, okay? Same with that over there. Now we're going to come back here with this lighter yellow color. Okay, and it's too much yellow, not enough yellow oxide and purple. A little bit too much of that bright yellow color, but we can tone that back. Alright, so now, and then we're going to say this came down a little further and did this. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're just going to stop and dry everything. Now that, because really what all these colors have done is sort of lay out what I'm trying to do, okay? All these colors have done is, that's all they've done is that, okay? So, I know I've got a bush back here. This is a cliff back up here, like this, behind here. And there was it kind of came up like this. That's right. There was a kind of a rocky outcropping back up here, like this. And then across the water, there was another one, like this. It came this way. Okay, there we go, like that. So this is what we're saying happened. Kind of like this. It's sort of a bunch of layers of rocks. This one's straight up and down like this. Okay, so what we're going to do now is just dry that. Okay, let's see, that's coming like this. This is coming down here. And I think this area in here, I'm just trying to think where the where our building is. This is where the water is, right here like that. So I'll take a little more of that Southern Ocean blue and make that bright right here. Where it's just kind of, there we go. Now I'm going to take a minute and dry this while I can. Let's see, does this separate here? It might a little bit. Let's see, I think it does. That might just be a... Okay, I just want to make sure I have my cliffs in here right with my lighter color now. There we go. This is all about layers, you guys. This is the Southern Ocean blue color doing this, okay? Alright, so now we're pretty good with that. Let's just take a second and dry everything. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and use my palette knife and do similar colors, but I'm not going to, when you see my palette here, I'm not going to mix it that well. Take a little bit of, let's see, I think that was magenta. Put it in there like that. A little bit of this blue maybe. Okay, not going to mix it very well, right? A little bit of this yellow here over here. Okay, I'm going to take my palette knife and I'm going to come down here like this, and I'm going to make these straight up and down little cliff lines. It's very similar to what we've got going here. Let's see, I think I need zinc white or mixing white. Let me just leave the cap off of that. Come here like that, lighten this up. Right in here, I just need some of these cliffs. I need it to look like cliffs, and the palette knife is the absolutely easiest way to do that. Because you can get that. We've already kind of said that there's cliffs. So take this, for instance, like right up and over in here, we know that this is, let's put a little, let's see, a little bit of cad red medium with that, kind of a sand color. There we go. A little bit more of the mixing white on it. I'm going to say this up here is our cliffs, and then you want some contrasting colors like this. And maybe this is going back this way, just like that. And then kind of these cliffs, as I recall, they were kind of going at a weird angle. Of course, that all is going to be bushes and stuff, but let's just assume not for the minute. Alright, so we're saying that's all my cliff edge. And I might come along here like this and say, here's the bottom of this. Now, a little palette knife is nice for this because we've got to turn it and say that this is a... Make sure that you have enough paint on your knife. I want to say just on this part right here, I want a sharp edge right here on this cliff coming down here like that. There you go. And then I'm going to bring it out into the water like this. Okay? And the same thing here. I want a sharp edge on that. I'm reloading the knife every time. And the secret is that something like this is you've got to have a lot of colors on here. You can't have the same colors. So you see I'm kind of changing direction of the palette knife. Saying this is all these sort of golden sand stuff here. Okay, so far so good, yeah? And okay, now that's a little bit too dark for me. So I want a little bit of so did we get out purple? Did we put out purple? Yeah, it was here, right? But I guess like this is brown. Yeah, let's put a little of this brown color in there. There we go. Want some streaks in this. Barely touch it now. Same thing here, barely touch it. And let it drag. See how it's sort of dragging? The same thing here. I'm going to come over. These are a little darker. I'm going to come over the top of this area here. Say this is my cliff going this way. I'm going to put it out into the water more. I think it's kind of cool. I mean, I don't know. I like palette knives. It's hard to do it on something this small. Palette knives really are so much easier if you're dealing with a larger canvas. So you try and do palette knives on a small one like this, and it's a little bit of magenta and purple, a little bit of white, a little bit of yellow. Well, that's a pretty color, kind of a, ooh, I like that color. It's got some real warmth to it. We'll put that in here like that. Drop up a little of that. Ooh, this one is going to be tricky. This one right here. Because I need everything to go up and down here like that. And this kind of comes behind this building. And what I'll have to do here probably is get enough texture on here with the palette knife. And then what I'll do, see, is to say these are some sort of little pointy rocks, right like this. This came up to a point right here, like that. Okay. All right, there you go. Now lighten this up here. And then what you got to do is you got to dry it. See, then we're going to just, I mean, really dry it. And if you were using gels, now see, this is dried enough where I can kind of catch something like that. See, and let's see, back up in here. I'd really like this lighter, more golden, and I'm out of yellow oxide. So that's one of the main colors in here, and I just didn't have any more of it left. And I want more of this transparent white. Okay. And There we go. I want this to be maybe a little bit of cad red with that and yellow. I need a little orange color. Maybe some yellow. I need some orange. Yeah, that's better. I want to say that coming down here like this, it's lighter. Okay, and the same thing. Okay, now this is the tricky part. The same thing here on this one. Coming up like this on this one. A little bit of this color, and the same thing for sure on here. There. Okay, so we've got some interesting colors, I think, and then the see, we picked up a color I didn't want. That's okay. So let's come back with a little purple and yellow. Let's come back here like this. And then I want to have my light color up here like this. Barely touch this. And see, there's my rock cliff. And if I want to say this is an edge, I'll just change the angle of the palette knife, okay? So suddenly, I mean, with very little buildup, we're saying that there's a very interesting group. They're going to be very interesting rocks. Let's just try a little bit of burnt umber now and pull a little of that color. Okay, and how about over here? I think we could definitely, now I could do this with a brush, but I think you could definitely have some interesting, see, burnt umber and ultramarine blue make a very nice dark brown. And I want you to see it. If I'm clean the knife and then I put just a little bit on it, depending where I want it to go. Just tap that on there like that. Okay. So that's interesting, and we haven't done anything really. I think that's pretty interesting. And then, like I say, we haven't done anything. I still want this to come up higher like this cliff. Like that, and I don't think I want that red there, but that's okay. I want some dark brown up on the top. Okay? And this will be kind of dark up in here. Alright, so far so good. Got some really interesting island cliffs. You know, Jon and I went to Aruba this last year, and one of the things that I had always wanted to go to Aruba because I had heard that you know, it was like a Dutch colony, and that I don't know what I was expecting, like something, and they had beaches and casinos and all kinds of stuff, and it was, you know, it was Caribbean, and honestly, Tucson, Arizona is prettier than that place. There's a little of the dark brown, just going to barely touch it over these cliffs like that. Okay. And, I mean, it was just, there was cactus there. I mean, I was hard-pressed to find anything I even wanted to take a picture of. Here we go. Let's just say that there's a dark edge right here. Another dark crack coming up here like that on the top. Okay, you with me on my palette knife? And I don't know how much of this you feel like I'm teaching you, but I would have to say with palette knife, it's practice. Okay, that's all it is. You just you have to practice how much paint you're going to put on something, where you're going to put it. You've got to keep a knife pretty clean. That's important. Palette knife, I like to use paper towels. All right, we're going to stop here and clean. We're going to dry this now. I think that's pretty clean. I don't know, my hands are dirty. I was going to touch it and see. But I'm going to get out my little happy tub of towels. This is how I clean my hands. These guys were nice enough to send me some because I talked about them on the show, which I thought was sweet. But I talk about anything I like, you know. I mean, if I talk about what I don't like, too. But all right, so far that's... I want to make sure that it's dry, and I want some clean hands and everything to just start with. Palette knife is very messy for me. I know some of you are much neater. Now, here's the erroneous thing. I think there's this feeling that if you did a palette knife, the whole painting must be in a palette knife, which of course is nonsense. We got these clips in here because we needed those to be in the palette knife. But we don't need anything else to be in the palette knife. We just need those. We didn't have this, what happened here? We'll fix that later. Okay, so now, what I want to put now is I need some yellow oxide in ultramarine blue, okay, and a little magenta, and I want a really dark green, okay, kind of an army green. And I'm going to come up here like this, and I'm going to tap this using an angle brush on the back of here like this, and I want it the darkest color I can get. Maybe put a little purple with that too. I want the darkest color first, like this, on the back of this cliff. I'm trying not to lose all my stuff here. And we've got some stuff growing down, some foliage growing down on top of these cliffs. And let's put a little bit more ultramarine blue. I want this dark kind of mossy green color, okay? You know, this dark, okay, a little bit more magenta than that. Okay, now I've got back up here, I've got a bunch of dark coming here, and then I want to leave some of that. Now this is key. When you're doing it, I'm going to come up here like this on the top of this and define the top of the front of this cliff, and I'm just tapping in the foliage. I'm going to tap it around this nifty little peninsula thing here like that. Come down about like that. And then I'm coming down at an angle here like this with the foliage. Come down at an angle, maybe angling this way. Okay, so not getting too crazy, right? But then over here, back over here, we've got some greenery. We're going to say it's growing down this way, sideways on this. Mostly I want to just celebrate these rocks, but they're, you know how sometimes foliage can be very tenacious, and it will make it somewhere. There we go. Occasionally it will make it on a place on a cliff. So just find a home. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit more yellow to that, and a little tiny bit of cad red medium, and more yellow. That's like cad yellow medium, okay? And here's the trick. Now we've used all this paint, okay? And while it's still wet, I'm going to just come up here and tap it in here, like that. There, just on top of some of this. Not so much back here, but right here. Just tap. This is a little closer. Alright, so we can warm that up. Now, let's come back. Let's see, I still need that dark green color. Let's just say, for instance, that there's some trees that are growing in here like this, in this whole area, and they're different heights, okay? And all we're going to see of them is the lights and darks, okay? That's all we're going to see of these trees. Is that if you're going to put a light green, you've got to put some red with that. Some sort of red and green dulls it. Ultramarine blue would be the best. We want to start with our dark color first, like that. And we're going to say in here like this, on the top of this, it's going to be dark, coming around here like this. The top of this little cliffy thing here. Okay, we're going to come up here like this. Not too much, but just suggest that there are this foliage that's growing up here like this. Kind of over here. And there's going to be a little of it back in here behind where our little house is going to be too. A little bit right there. Okay, tap that in. And then over here, I love this stuff. We've got some really cool trees here. We've got some trees that are coming like that. And coming out into the ocean up here like this. and then down all kinds of little dark trees. I'm just tapping this now down here like this, okay? And all this up here, and I want the ocean to peek through here. And if you lose your ocean, I guess you can put it back. I don't mean lose it in the sense that you don't know where the ocean is anymore, but if you accidentally, so yeah, I'm anticipating Jon would have said, "How do you lose an ocean, Ginger?" Well, you paint it out. That's how you lose it, right? So, okay, so here we go. We're going to just do that and just see your little tree things here, right? Now that's way cool, isn't it? I mean, come on, you guys. That's way cool. So then if I take a little yellow, while this is still wet, and tap it in there, I'm going to say the light's kind of coming from the right. So the top right of this, maybe even a little mixing white with that. Okay? The top right of this, kind of just tapping it this way, kind of rolling the brush almost when I'm tapping it. Tap, 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 tap. But the thing, if you've got anything about the rocks are the easiest to paint if you've got a palette knife. It's so much easier to paint rocks with a palette knife. And here's goes the top of these trees. And the top of, there's a bunch of kind of light green foliage up here too. It's kind of down on this cliff, and then there's some darker stuff. I guess I didn't really put that in there. Down in here like this. We said there was some darker stuff. Okay, so far so good, yeah? And I want this a little bit lighter, a little yellow oxide, perhaps. That's what I'm missing here, is the yellow oxide on the top of this. See, I'm just sort of using that angle brush and tapping, and twisting and rolling the brush as I do it. Okay, like that. Just going to say that there's that lighter tree. And the same thing here. I want some lighter, I want to suggest that there's lighter stuff here. Oh, over here too. Yeah, okay, so now here's the trick. Here's a light one. It almost goes up in stages. Here's a light one. I'm going to do a little more yellow. Just take a little bit of mixing white to lighten up these bushes, and just kind of roll it like it's the top of the trees, kind of like from if it was the shape of a zero. I'm going from 9 to 3 o'clock on the top, but over 12. Okay, and I'm kind of rolling my brush a little bit so that the dark shows underneath. That's the trick on this. This is how we're doing this trickily. Okay, like that. There. So we've got all these cliff here, tree thingies, and we've still got that up here too. Coming in here, and then this is where you might take a little yellow and green. It's bright. Make a brighter green, yellow and phthalo blue. Tiny bit of magenta to tone it down, not much. Let's get a little color surprise going in some of this. So we're just saying we're a little closer here, like this. So maybe we'll brighten up some of these a little bit, just the ones in the front. And to do that, I may have to, honestly, I may have to come up here like this and dry it. I may have, because I mean, if I don't, make sure I haven't lost my darks, okay? Because I'm saying all this is nice foliage up here, growing along here like this. That does seem to be working, doesn't it? Okay, so I've rinsed the brush. Now I'm kind of looking at this going, okay, so what do I need? I need a little purple and burnt umber. And I want to come along, I want any red on this. I want purple and burnt umber. And I don't want a big glob of paint on my brush. Now, I want to come along here on the edge of this and just sideways tap a bank like this. I know we did the palette knife, but I'm just going to kind of give it a rocky edge. The same thing here. If we've dried it, we can do a few cracks in the bank. There, like that. So you just put that in there. And the same thing here with this one. We're going to say this is a little darker under here like this. And I think we're going to give this a little bit of a tree or something right there. Okay, kind of separate those two little bits of the island off. We haven't put our house in yet. Here's our trees. I'm going to do that with the trees here. I need to bring some of that foliage all the way down into here. Some of this needs to come all the way down here like this. Okay, so when it dries a little bit, the yellow gets a little bit brighter. That's what I mean about sometimes you have to just stop and let something kind of settle. Because as it dries, you can get a little bit brighter, contrast in your leaves. And then, let's see, here's some yellow and cad red medium. I want an orange color. And I want to say that there's, right along here like this, there's some, I'm going to just tap on, just barely touch it here, a little bit of this orange color on top of the rocks. And I might just barely touch it here, just kind of warm up some of these rocks just a little bit here, like that. Say that there's a little bit of this color. And once the paint dries, now you're at the sort of the leeway. You can do a little bit of that, kind of, tone some of your rocks in. You don't have to get the color exact the first time. So also we need, here's our cad red medium and yellow. Here's our roof of this little house. Right like that. Okay. And don't you love that, right? Because that's just way cool, right? I just love the idea of this little house here, okay? Like that. Now what I have to do now is just stop and dry everything, okay? That's what I'm going to do. Just stop and dry everything. But it's coming together, isn't it? I mean, I think you're almost surprised, aren't you? Kind of how it's coming together. It always surprises me. All right, so we need some white and maybe some purple and ultramarine blue, kind of like a blue, kind of a shadow color, like that. Maybe a little bit of Southern Ocean blue with that. So there we go, kind of a. Then mostly white. Okay, let's put a little yellow. I want this sort of light gray color. Okay. So right here on this house, right here. On our house right like that. I'm going to say that that's my shadow color. Now I'm going to say the rest of this is put a little yellow oxide with the white. Kind of warm it up, and I'm going to say this right here is the front of my house. Okay, now it's got a cliff wall coming along here like this. There's a little wall that's been built, and then it came up here like this. I did this like a little steeple thingy here. More wall. Came back up here behind. Okay, so there's it's a little compound is what it is. And I want a little more white here. Need to brighten this one up. This is, this is what takes the longest. It's all the fun little details, okay? So we're going to say that there's a... I may have to do this in like, there you go, kind of something like that, okay? So it's like a little, monastery, okay? But it could be just a hotel too. I mean, it could be anything you want it to be, but just saying, I think in my reference photo, it might be that. And I've got a little bit of a shadow right here. It's between these two houses, and I'm going to do it a little bit darker right there. Okay, so there is our little buildings, and this must be a big building because there's another little building back here that you barely see. Really, I'm not kidding. I'm looking at this weird thing, and there's a little building back here that you're barely going to see back in there. Just so you're saying this is some sort of nifty, I say nifty, kind of resort place way out in the middle of nowhere somewhere. And I've decided it's nowhere because I don't know where it is, so there you go. Now I'm going to take a little bit of ultramarine blue and purple, and I want a little bit of a dark shadow here. Ooh, I do not want that color. Let's try brown. In fact, I'll wipe that off. This is the advantage of drawing as you go, because let's take that off. There you go. Okay, so I want a little bit of a dark shadow right here on the cliff. So darker here, kind of coming up from the water's edge. And I'm going to say here's some rocks out here in the cliff area. I've got some rocks that I don't think I could have done them this small with the palette knife. I'm going to just kind of scoop up a little bit of the paint, drop it on there. Not really. This is the kind of the rocky edge, and then there's almost like a grotto that's coming in here like that. In front of this, just a little bit of white, like that. Okay. All right. So that, I like that. I like a little bit of light around there, a little bit of water, a little bit of even mixing white is good because we want to say that there's. I want to suggest, and this is why the transparent white is good. I want to suggest that it's a little bit lighter underneath where this building is. Okay, same here, like that. And just bring that out there like this. Well, why not? We can do it, right? Why not do it? Okay. So then, next to here is some more dark green bushes. So we're going back to the dark green and saying next to this, I'm going to tap that in because I'm not talking about the top of this at all. These bushes are growing all the way along here like this, and they kind of tap back into here, okay? So, against the side of the house here, and then here's our lighter green that's coming up on the top of that. Okay, we'll do that. Just little side effects. Alright, I want this a little lighter too, as long as I'm doing it. Starting to light up some of this up here. This is dried enough where I can come back and hit it with a little bit lighter color. Sometimes when you try to do it all at once, you just can't because it's drying. Then you can. Okay. So if you've lost your darks, put them back. Okay, these darks of the trees are what kind of make it. So if you lost it, put them back. Okay, like that. And I think I want a little bit of that cliff going up. See, I love how you can just do this. I think I want a little cliff coming up here like this. into those rocks. I mean, into those trees. There. Made that a little lighter on the beach. Yep, just bring that off. Okay, so there you go. Now what? Well, I mean, now we're just going to stop and just add a few more highlights on our trees. Up here like this. Bring these forward a little bit. Okay. And I'll do the same thing over here like this. I'll bring this forward just a hair. It almost feels like it's this magenta. I would take yellow and make this really pretty, almost Indian yellow, like that. Just a really nice Indian yellow. Kind of an orange. I just feel like we need a little more color in these trees up here. Same thing here like that, because this is such a good complement to turquoise, orange. So okay, so far so good. You're with me, right? And you're going, wow, how would you kind of, do this? And this is how we're doing it. I want a little bit darker green coming this way, because I want to say that this part is in shadow, so there's just a little of my Southern Ocean blue this way. Over this, I just wanted that a little bit darker, because it's transparent. And the same thing here, this is transparent, so I could put a little bit of this blue-green color in here, like that. It's a little bit transparent, and then something a little bit kind of darker going sideways here like this, like that, and somehow maybe a little darker around in here. Here's our cove. I feel like this is like a cove, right? So we're just going to zigzag the water a little bit like this now. Alright, and then I feel like this is kind of too dark here, so here's some mixing white, and just lighten the water just a bit. I might use even a bigger brush, but right now I'm just lightening the water here. Just feel like we got it a little bit too dark in here. We're going to put some more streaks back this way. Lighten this water. And then I really want it light next to, here's where our cliff is right here. So there's where I want it light, right there. Okay, so that kind of, you want to show that that's sort of an island, and that that gets a little darker underneath here like that. Maybe just cut that through there like that. So, now, last little details. And I'm going to call this a paint, I'll just call this done. I just thought this was a pretty scene. I really thought this was really neat with the cliffs and this sort of island covey thing here. And again, I wanted to show you some interesting ways to do rocks. Like for instance, this is pretty dark right here. I can just drag my brush. I don't want it white, but I could just drag my brush a little bit over some of this dark, and it'll pick up you barely touch it, it'll pick up the texture and do that for you. You see, here's the top of this rock here. And the same thing here, it'll pick up all kinds of this texture and then drag on it and skip, and you'll get lots of colors. It'll be very hard to paint otherwise. This needs to be a little more purple right up on the top of this one. This one I feel like it's got a little, I think we could darken the top of this rock right here. Like that. Just not talk about that one so much. Darken the side of this one. So it separates these two. Okay. It's just everything's about sort of light and dark, and I think we might just right on this side of this one darken that up right there by the house. Kind of darken that little rock up. You can sit there and say, what could I do? How could I You know, you can come back and you can play with your rocks, just add a few little tones that you couldn't get with the palette knife on something this small. So now I'm going to take some brown, put my glasses on so I can see, and I'm going to do a little window here and a little window there. And there's a tiny little window right there in that towery thing. And that's it, you guys. That's all she wrote on that. Man, I think it's kind of cool. I mean, I might make this tree. I could possibly make this tree, this one here, come up a little taller here, up here like this. And I don't mind doing that. Just say that this is a little bit brighter and taller up here like this. I'm going to bring that up a little bit. But really, that's our, I think I'm pretty good with the orange. Didn't need anywhere near as much paint as I put out, which is why I'm always finding myself, you know, covering canvases. I feel like I could do something with this, the roof of this, because this is kind of our center of interest. It is our little compound here. I feel like I could do something with that. So I hate to put more paint out when we're just about done, but on the other hand, I want this to be pretty bright where this roof is right here, and this is where 2 coats come in. What do you think? I think that's kind of cool, don't you? And that's going to be our. I think we've got a really neat scene, and I know that someone's going to look at this and go, "She's got to be kidding! Who's going to paint this?" But I think you kind of get how you do that right now. So we're going to come back and put a few little dark areas in our woods if we might have lost some of our trees, as opposed to we don't know where they are. We might have just the definition of them kind of. I need the remember the dark side of our trees is this way, so you don't want to lose that. But I love this. I absolutely. It'd be fun to go there, wouldn't it? But I don't know. Maybe. I'm gonna do a couple of trees right here. I wanted to. There, just a couple little lines for the trees. I think I'm being a little fussy now. At this point, it's lights and darks. Here's the top of this cliff right here. And the same thing here. Here's the top. And you don't really have to do that much. We're a little dark there. I would say, right there. This feels a little too dark to me. That's fixable. Here's a little bit of Southern Ocean blue and ultramarine blue, and I just feel like maybe some mixing white. I want it dark there, but not as dark, so I'm just going to dry brush some color over that. There, like that. I just didn't want that big dark patch there. And this is acrylics have a tendency sometimes to dry darker, so if I'm going to do that, then I'll just smudge that out a little bit, right? This is a nice large brush for this, and maybe I'll exaggerate this. Ooh, let's take some white for that. Let's exaggerate where this is right under here like this. Coming in here where that house is, or monastery or whatever. There we go. Zigzag it back and forth and pull it down. Back and forth and pull it down. And back and forth and pull it down. I think that's way cool. And let's do a little bit of this. Just got a little. There we go. Something in there like that. And you pretty much have to have your water done before it's hard to go back and finish your water. You know, you pretty much have to have it done before, but you know, we can go back and make some adjustments in it because water's not, you know, stagnant. You can still go back and say that there's some, you know, lights and darks, even in this darkest. It's in shadow right here because of that, and this is in shadow here because of that, and here's still some Southern Ocean blue right down here at the bottom, which I really like. Okay, and let's see, one last thing I would need to do. I'm going to call it done. But a fun thing to do if there we go. Just gonna come up here a little bit with the dark brown too on the basis of this cliff, and say that the water it went up and around it. Okay, I don't know why I care, but I get kind of people. You know, I'm not a sock folder. We talk about that. I'm really not the sock folder type, but there's certain things that, you know, I'll go back and I'll just keep looking at a painting, and it's like, you know, what else do I need to do? And I'll keep looking at it and saying, what else do I need to do? Like, for instance, it's very dark back here. I might just very gently now, because that's dry, right? Very gently now tap in just some light on the very gently, almost roll it on there, on these trees that are back here. I don't want them as bright as the front ones, but I still can suggest that there's trees back here by doing that. And that's the fun part of this, right? And then do we have anything we could brighten up here? So a little bit of brighter green right up in here around this part of where the house is, or the monastery. If we brighten up some greens right here, okay, that brings your eye forward, see? So it's tricky stuff, it's small stuff, it's how you go back and you fix things. You're going, okay, so I want a little bit brighter green, even though this was all olive. If I brighten up the green right there, okay, that makes a big difference. So I think I'll just sign it. I hope you guys enjoyed. It, and I had fun with this, and learning how to do a palette knife. And let me just see a couple of little rocks. Oh man, I didn't mean to do that. Well, hang on. Yeah, okay, hang on. I gotta do this. There, tap that out. Just, there you go, something around that wall so it wasn't so perfect. And, can I do anything? Nothing this small. I can't do anything. Maybe I can do it with a pen. Can't do anything that small with this because it's too small. I mean, my brushes aren't going to do that. I can take this and do that. If I put my glasses on and really look, I can then kind of outline this shape a little bit so it has its sort of mission look, old mission look. Here's a little Posca pen, little white on here. All right, I think we'll just sign it right here. Well, if we can make the pen go. You know, one thing about using any kind of pen, you do not want to do that when your paint's wet, because it won't write. Okay. All right, here we go. There, that's fine. Just needed to give that a little bit more definition, and I can do that with the pen. You've got these tools, and then here's this little house back here too. Back in the background. Way back there, there's some more little buildings. And in the actual photo, there was a house back here, but I thought that took it away. These guys don't get to live on my little beach here. It's my beach. They can just get out. This is our stuff here. We're just, and there's a little bit of dark right here, just on the cliff here. I'll just put it, because I see it, right? I'm seeing all this stuff and I want to put it, but I'm good. All right, we signed it, put the red slash through the name, and we're done. Now, I'm just going to take around and say palette knife. So let's in review. Let's just talk in review about what did we get with this. We took one small little, very small little palette knife, which I can find somewhere. We had it a minute ago. Here, nothing very big. On a canvas like that, if you were doing a bigger painting, you would use a bigger palette knife, and your palette knife actually allowed us to make enough texture where all the little bushes were happily, falling in the line. We used a, brush to do the side, the water sideways. And so think about palette knives as a tool, as opposed to, it doesn't have to be just a palette knife painting. It can be a combination of a palette knife and something else. Absolutely. And think about that. And what size brush did we use? We used a little 3/8 inch angle brush. I'm going to put a little red right here on here like that, because I feel like it could be even brighter than that right there. There, to brighten up that. I feel like it needed to be brighter. And then here like this. That's what happens with acrylics, is they do dry darker. So, if you want something, sometimes you have to, for reds, sometimes it takes 2 coats. Did you know that? For it to show up. So there, kind of got that house, or the building a little brighter. Here's a little brighter with the red back there too, because it's very subtle. There wasn't a lot of color in this, and yet I think it's charming. And there's no boats. We're not messing with anything else. We're just enjoying the I think this is probably off the Mediterranean rocks and coasts. This is more Mediterranean looking, probably somewhere either in Italy or Greece. So anyway, glad you guys had fun with this, and I keep seeing things I want to do, because the problem is that even if it isn't in the picture, part of me, the painting part of me says, yeah, but it should be there. Does that make sense? So the painting part of me says, well, what about a little bit of light here in the water around this rock? I mean, why wouldn't there be that, right? And I'm going, there probably would be, right around this rock here like that, in the water, a little bit of a reflection coming down. So, you put it, and if you don't like it, you take it out. I want it a little bit brighter, even in the front of this. I know I signed it, but I want it a little bit brighter right there, and I want a little bit of light right here. And there. There you go. I want some little water there. I mean, it's an ocean painting. Let's have fun with this, okay? And there we go. All right, I'll stop, because I could go on forever with this. If you like this kind of thing, consider our Wave and Water Masterclass at gingercooklive.gallery. We talk a lot of different ways about doing oceans and water, all kinds of things that you guys might find. If you've never done that, you don't have to be a master to do it, but what we teach you is how to master water, because there's so many different ways to paint it. Okay? And this is just one way, and how to do rocks, and how to really get great marine paintings. Really nice. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you're watching this on YouTube, because John will probably say, we're not putting this on YouTube, but if we do end up putting this on YouTube, I hope you subscribe to my channel, because I think that would be really awesome if you would do that and tell others about it, because I think that would be very nice, okay? I just need this a little brighter in here like that, just where this is. Yeah, let's just lighten this up like that. There we go. All right, that's it, you guys. Have fun. Good night, and Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Share. Let me just zoom in. Hang on. I'll try to zoom in. You can see it. You see it? Way cool, huh? Bye.